You have a 5-car scrap for what would be the third place at the box in 11 hours' time. I think we've already come down. Where's that time gone, by the way? Where's the first hour gone, lads?
Thinking the same thing. Thomas Randall's been a quiet little achiever in this opening stint, given the duties of starting car 222.
Keep an eye out for the 183 Audi coming to pit lane. I think I just saw Ricardo Fella take his helmet air off his helmet, and that's what they tell you to do, where you tell you to do it. So either he was adjusting the helmet air, or he's taken it off, because you do that usually down Conrod before you come to pit lane. So it's one thing less to remember when you come to the lane. So does he peel in? Not this time. So he's adjusting it. So we're not far away, within 3 or 4 laps, I think, of coming to pit lane. And you said Thomas Randall was playing himself in nicely. So is Raffaello Marciello in the 46 BMW. He's down in 8th. He's only 6 seconds away from second. So there you go. They are set up at JMEC Racing. So I wonder whether they called an audible there and went around once more.
Touched on the fact that you can get an undercut, especially when you're caught up behind the car in front. While the pit stop times are in theory the same, if all goes to plan at 80 seconds, it's that outlap and the inlap, and we've seen some pretty heroic inlaps here and some outlaps as well that have helped dictate where the race plays out and if you can jump somebody in the lane.
No tyre warmers. No. I'll keep saying that for those of you who aren't used to this. No tyre warmers, and there is an absolute art to getting those tyres warmed up so that you don't absolutely throw away a bunch of time on your first, lap and a half?
Yeah, a lap, definitely the first lap. And I think the play here is actually the overcut.
Yeah.
Starting out on a hot tyre is going to be quicker
at this time of the race.
Staying out on a hot tyre, getting one more lap is better. And I wonder whether they said to Ricky Fella then, the BMW stays out, you stay out. Because if you've got the skill to do it, you want to do one more lap. So whilst the car in front comes in, does their stop, and the new driver's getting the tyre up to temperature, the car that stays out and overcuts, it's got the hot driver, hot tyres, he's in the groove, maximum push lap, and try and go around the outside of him if he's effectively with an overcut.
And to that point, this will be the worst the tyres will be for the entire day, because right now there's no UV in pit lane because the sun hasn't got there yet.
Yeah, so you can't reheat your tyre.
Correct, still shaded down below us in the working side and the back of the garages as well. So as the sun comes up, all the tyres will be out the back of the garages baking in the sun to get them up and get some core temperature into it. And what a start it's been to this race as we work our way into the second hour of the ride, back to 12 hour, and the sun is up, the temperature coming up outside and inside, and at 5:45 a.m. the field burst into life, waved away by the legendary Jackie Hicks, and it was incredible from the outset with Maximilian Goetz backing his car into turn 1, Ricardo Fella, the pinball machine in the middle, Maro Engel on the outside, and Augusto Farfus in a BMW carving his way through the field. Chaz Mostert doing the same. Busy stuff in the first 500 or 600 metres of this race as they raced into the pre-dawn, and it was Chaz with big moves and big moments, as he is prone to do in that Arise Racing Ferrari.
Yeah, Chaz was making his way to the front very quickly. This battle between Maro Engel and Ricardo Fella started at lap 1, turn 1, and it went for 55 minutes, and they battled, and they battled, and they battled. Chaz Mostert had big speed, went to the lead past Maxi Goetz and disappeared up the road. Chaz Mostert starting the race doing Chaz Mostert things. He leads now by 9.5 seconds. Jamie Day had this moment in the Aston Martin, contact with the concrete wall as he exited the tree, making his run down to Forest Elbow. And then finally, Ricardo Fella got up the inside of Maro Engel and took that spot for 4th. But Chaz Mostert, he's in the groove and he's doing it very nicely right now.
Sun is properly up, so that darkness period has gone. And is that him coming to the pit lane? Is that the leader thinking about coming in? It's about the right time. Class leaders, Krilsey.
Scott Andrews on top in the Pro-Am class, green number you can see there, Ross Gunn for Heart of Racing leading the bronze, and on the track and in class just behind is David Russell, leader of the silver class. Tommy Hayman's leading GT4 in the Method Motorsport McLaren Artura. He's got 9 seconds over Mark Griffith's car, the Mercedes AMG, driven by Adam Christodolu, and then Josh Buchanan into the lane, the first to blink is Jamek Racing and Team MPC, who have been here for a very long time and know how to play this race out. Into the lane they come, and Ricky Fella with the belts loose already. There's going to be a driver change, the first of the race so far.
So the first two cars to come to the lane have both been the MPC Audis. So the 9 car came nearly 8 laps ago, and now the first of our real front runners, Ricardo Fella, comes to the lane. So they don't have to do the rapid driver change because they have roughly 45 seconds of sit-still time with that mandated 80 seconds from pit in to pit out. Liam Talbot, who we saw suited and booted, he jumps aboard. The team taking the opportunity to put another set of tyres on, so they're not double stinting that first set of tyres.
Liam lives for moments like this. This is where he will be at his very, very best. Be fired up about this moment to take control of this car, which will be a contender throughout the course of the day. Remember, Brock Feeney, the third driver in this combination, and he's very good in these cars.
Single stint, start the race.
Yeah, well,
that's what Chad was saying earlier on down in the Pirelli pit bunker.
Oh, don't forget this car is playing the Pro bronze driver in the Pro class. Yep. So theoretically, if Liam Talbot gets in here, does 1 hour, he could be done for the day.
Yep.
So they're trying to get that done early, getting their bronze driver 1 hour, 60 minutes done early, giving them then. I mean, that's not saying Liam Talbot might not get in because we know he's fast at the mountain, but that gives them total flexibility with their driver time strategy later in the race.
And they will try and maximise this stint for Liam as long as they can. If they can keep him in the car for 1 hour and 15 minutes, potentially
it opens that window.
Correct, because remember that number Chad talked about in the Pirelli pit bunker at the start? That's one way to get some rear tyre temperature in an Audi R8. Although our ears out in the commentary box.
Sorry, what did you say there?
Correct. If they can get more time out of Liam Talbot, that 340 minutes we've been talking about for the pros, as Chaz Mostert comes into the lane.
Just looking at the Audi pit stop time, guys, 1 minute 46 spent in pit lane, so that's 106 seconds. That's a lot longer than the minimum 80.
That's a good point, Chad, and that's something the teams need to be aware of. Whilst you don't have to do these rapid driver changes like we do see in some categories around the world, you still need to get it done and make sure you transit the lane from the moment you put the pit limiter on to the moment you turn the pit limiter off has to be 80 seconds. So now pretty much everyone coming to the lane. The BMW's gone around though, so that's interesting. Both BMWs have gone around, as has Anchan Guven in the Porsche. So all the teams will now be starting to watch each other. Who's got what fuel economy?
Our camera operators in the truck making art this morning. We're not just covering a motor race. Absolutely outstanding work with that setup.
So they're double stinting tyres on the Craft Bamboo AMG Mercedes. You can see them adjusting the tyre pressure there as they refuel the car.
But that doesn't change they don't get an advantage from that. That doesn't change the minimum pit stop.
No,
as soon as the fuel hose goes on, it's 80 seconds. If you decide not to put the fuel hose on and just change tyres, you can do it as quick as you can get those 4 lug nuts off. Craig Lowndes in the pit lane, the 222. Sorry, Thomas Brown.
1 minute 23 for Will Brown, pit in to pit out, so 83 seconds for the Arise Racing GT Ferrari, so that's pretty good. 1 minute 25 for Maxi Goat, so they lost 2 seconds relative to the Ferrari. The 80 seconds could be ambitious by the looks of what we've seen so far. If you can do it in 80 seconds, apparently you're doing a good job. So 84 seconds for 222 with Craig Lowndes now behind the wheel. 88 seconds for 75 Express for Sun Energy One.
That was one team I knew. If anyone's going to keep closest to the 80 seconds, it's going to be the 75 car. Kenny Habul aboard that one. So Habul and Liam Talbot aboard those Pro bronze cars. So both teams mirroring each other with that strategy. So here's Will Brown just leaving his mark on their pit box as he takes off. I see you, Liam Talbot, and raise you.
Let's see if they put tyres on the Ferrari. I don't think they did. Mostert handing that car over in very good shape. Chaz's first stint run at an average lap pace of 203.5.
Just looking at that.
And 7 of those laps were traffic polluted as he made his way to the front. So
So we're hearing that they put tyres on the 36 Ferrari, which is the Pro-Am car. Brad Schumacher started that car, and they were running down in 16th position, but they've kept the same tyres on the Pro car that was leading the race. And
staying in.
So they've gone one lap longer at Absolute Racing. The Kangaroo Skippy up the side, the same livery they ran in 2020 when they got pole position and finished 4th in the race.
Both BMWs still going, as is Maro Engel. So we did say early that Maro Engel looked like his speed was drifting. I think he was just being economical with his fuel use and trying to stretch this first stint.
Driver change at Gaia Valmont Racing. Scott Andrews, after a very tidy opening stint, first time racing in Oz for a decade.
Ein neues Handy ist das Ergebnis jahrelanger Entwicklung. Angetrieben durch...
Oh no! It's the 77 early contender, Maxi Goetz, in the gravel trap at Elf Murray's Corner, and that will 100% be the first BMW safety car period of the race.
How has he got there?
He must have arrived backwards.
They didn't change tyres. Oh, this is going to be something with traffic.
Safety car boards and flags. Safety car boards and flags.
It's the Ferrari.
Oh, my goodness.
26 Ferrari of Will Brown and Maxi Goetz. They were battling for position.
He arrived backwards, as I suspected. You don't get in there and drive in that way around. So now, pick the bones out of that one.
Well, Goetz is in the gravel trap, and there was contact to the Ferrari. So two of our real front contenders has that damaged the front of the Ferrari.
The wheels must be activated.
So there goes safety car. All cars now are 80k an hour.
BMW staying out, seems like
they have got
bail into pit lane.
They have got the free kick of all free kicks, as has Maro Engel. So
the beauty of it is for them, they hadn't even got to the point of touching a safety car because they were on Conrod Straight when that was called. So this is a gift of all gifts for WRT.
Exactly what we're talking about. If you can save a bit of fuel, and this is why I like the fact that we've been able to have as long a stint as possible, Garth. Saved a little bit of fuel, opened the window. Thank you very much. We'll take that.
We often wonder and say how professional WRT are, and they win all the big races all around the world. And my people often say, geez, they're always so lucky. They're not lucky. They're just smart, and they're good.
You are the
and
lucky you get.
Save fuel. Make the window as big as you can. If an opportunity comes, you take it, and they have taken it in the first stop.
Chaz Mostert, what opening stint. Clearly you like leading this race, and you've been thinking about making those moves. Talk about getting to the front and having clear track ahead.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's always nice to open here at the 12 hour, but the car performance is really, really good in the dark and cool, crisp air around here, and the aero is really quite cool across the top. So done a lot of laps here in my time. So yeah, I really enjoyed that opening stint. It's probably one of the coolest stints that you can do in any race car around the world. So yeah, the car was really good. Had some fun with a couple of those super pros out the front, but yeah, the car was really good. I hope we can kind of stay in the mix through the middle of the day, and it comes back to us a little bit at the end of the day, but that was really a lot of fun.
Would have put an even bigger smile on your face if I told you were leading two classes at the same time, because McLaren got to the front of GT4.
Yeah, it's quite funny when you cruise around there and you're leading the openers the whole race, and then you're kind of also keeping an eye on the GT4 battle pack as well. So those three cars in that GT4 field are going to be really awesome. I wish more GT4s would enter this race, because the experience these silvers and bronze guys are getting is second to none, and doing this race and their experience will take them to the next level. So the good thing about here is everyone's in the GT3 is really kind to them most of the time. And yeah, we need more in this race. It'd be really cool.
I agree with that. Now we are under a safety car. Your car was involved with that. I know that you didn't see the incident as it happened live, but what is it like battling out there with all these pros? You said it's pretty elbows out.
Yeah, it is. You just got to pick your strengths and your weaknesses. So just watching it now, I'd say Will was kind of there and old mate kind of come across. So I hope we don't get a penalty for that. Yeah, those guys try to squeeze you as much as you can. So yeah, we'll see how we go. See what happens out of that.
Fingers crossed the rest of the way.
Thank you. Cheers.
I would not like to be calling that in race control. We'll leave them to do their job. The safety professionals have got the 77 back out of the gravel.
So Maxi Goetz drops a lot of the Bathurst Regional Council's gravel trap on pit straight, so you might take the opportunity under the safety car. Ironically, is the car that helped it into the gravel, whether right or wrong, draws alongside, and Robbie can't pass it. No, he needs to stay right where he is. But they're on a different lap, though, so they've dropped a lap. Now, we call it the lucky dog rule, is still in effect this year, so which means that cars a lap down can get back in front of the field on a safety car restart later into the race.
I was going to say, they'll kick in for the first 3 hours, I think, of the race. So
there is, the whole hope is not lost for Powerpack Racing, but man, they're on the back foot now.
You see the amount, and Maxi Gott's doing everything he can offline to get as much of that gravel out of the car as he can. But you see, like, these cars are designed to go forwards and forwards very efficiently. When they go backwards into gravel traps, they are a great excavator. And you can just see, and it's actually done a bit of damage to one of the rear strakes in the floor. That's not significant, but just how long's half a lap now, and there's still gravel coming out of the back of the thing. So watch here as he nails it.
It's so intricate at the back as well, even behind the rear wheels, the strakes there for the air exiting from the wheel arches, and that's caught a whole load of gravel as well.
You just see it now as he tries to shake it out of all the ducts and out of the floor. And if Maxim's got a visor, I'd be putting that down too, because as you get up to speed, there's dust and everything that flies through the cockpit of the car. So, as I said, that race cars, GT3 cars, very good at going forwards, but when they go into the gravel trap backwards, it's amazing where that gravel can go.
We probably need to have a talk about the incident as well, and race control will be looking at the replays. And to be clear, they carry all of the same assessment equipment at this race that they'll have at every Repco Supercars Championship round. So all of the analysis tools, the EBS and replay, they run upstairs in Motorsport Australia Race Control for race director James Taylor, for Craig Baird, who's driver standards, and all the team up there to assess the incident as thoroughly as they can to ensure that if a penalty needs to be applied, it can be a fair one that matches the crime that's been committed. So they'll be going through that process right now, and the stewards will be up there discussing that while we're behind the control of the BMW safety car.
I think that's a tough one to call. I really do.
It definitely is, absolutely.
Yeah. I could see it both ways. I'm not sure it's... at this early part of the race to be put yourselves in those positions, but you know, as we said, racing drivers be racing drivers.
Just like as generally happens when these incidents happen in these races, those that have been aggrieved in the past by similar incidents start texting each other. Just got a text message from one Dane saying, I remember when one of my cars in this race got put into that gravel trap. Who was driving that car? I'm not going to say who was driving the car at the time, but it always happens every year. So, good morning, Roland. Good to see that you're watching the race.
In the first safety car behind the glorious BMW that's leading the field up Mountain Straight. Part of racing, gentlemen, Ian James in that car, the bronze driver in the bronze class. Ian driving as well as he ever has done, trying not to think about Valkyrie things. But he's at the fourth position, and the cause of the safety car down at the final corner, Elf Murray. Scarf Tander, call it.
Oh, thank you very much, John. I know.
No pressure. You're the driver, mate.
Okay, so here we are on board here. Will Brown. Maxi Goetz is going to appear just to the side of us there. Don't forget, Goetz was on a hot tyre, didn't change tyres. Will Brown, we think, did change tyres. So it's the end of the outlap, but very close. We heard from Chaz Mostert saying, it looked like Maxi came down, and surprise, surprise, from the Craft Bamboo pit bunker, it looks like their opinion was slightly different. And that is what Craig Baird and Motorsport Australia Race Control will be doing, is looking at all of the camera vision that they have. This is right from the very beginning of the incident, so Will
on an out lap, remember.
Defending the position down into the right corner. I think to me that's two cars converging on the same tarmac. And Will didn't look to me like he drifted up. It did look like Maxi was trying to take the corner. Was he far enough around the outside? That's why I love the fact that I don't have to make that decision.
So action as we're behind the safety car. Action on lap 1 as well. Ricardo Fella right literally in the middle of it. Can you talk us through lap 1 going up Mountain Straight?
Yeah, actually it's not how I wanted to start this race. I think the Merc on pole just braked very, very late and came wide because actually I was planning to stay on his right through the corner. But then I had to brake and go on the inside, obviously, and then there was another Merc suddenly, and then they were both driving into me, so I couldn't do anything. And the car, I think, is also a bit damaged on the front, and especially on the right side. But yeah, now we just need to try to survive.
But steering was okay?
Yeah, it moved a bit, but it's fine to race.
Thank you, Ricky. I just want to bring up another point. We saw a slow pit stop for this team. And if I come over towards the fuel rig on this operation, they are working on this at the moment and are hoping to figure out what the problem was that cost them a little bit of time. It looked like a slightly slower pit stop for you guys as well.
Yeah, unfortunately we had a problem on the fuel rig. I don't know exactly what happened, but we lost about 20 seconds, which for sure is not ideal. But yeah, that's racing. The race is long, and we try our best to fight back.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Just one thing on that, the fuel bowser that's there, the tank, there is a specific height off the ground that can only be. And what Crailsy and I were doing the pit walk earlier on, they had on Thursday, they had the tape measure out to make sure, all the teams were making sure that was all within the rules, Jack.
And just for some more added complexity, I'm thinking it might not be at the rig end, it actually might be at the car end. It's the fuel tank that's not breathing, but it didn't do it during practice.
Confirming lights
so
are
if that's true, and they're losing 20 seconds of pit stop, you could just about put a strike through their name right now.
Wow. Thanks, Chad. Good intel. Lights are out on the BMW safety car, and with that I can bring you some news from Motorsport Australia Race Control. No further investigation will take place on the contact between the Ferrari and the Mercedes AMG racing incident. So lights are out. Augusto Farfus. So BMW's
overrun the chase.
BMW's got a free kick out of this. They've got track position by staying out and taking advantage of the safety car. And Augusto Farfus leads the race down. It's Valentino Rossi behind the wheel of car 46 in second place. It's still wild to say that. Maxime Martin behind the wheel. Former BMW driver chased in the car he drove last year and wide. Ian James was it. In the heart of racing car it was, and you cannot pass until you get to the control line under the bridge. So it's all chopped up in peak hour traffic early in the morning on Mount Panorama, and the field will split as a result. So both BMWs and Maxime Martin in the GMR Mercedes AMG have got massive track position out of this. That 77 car's now a lap behind. They need to wait for the next safety car a little bit later in the race to try and get their lap back. And there's GT4 cars in all of this as well.
You actually saw, I was like, why is Maxi Merckx putting his foot on the brake going up straight? Because he had to change lanes because of the GT4 cars. Even before they got to the control line, Augusto Farfus bowled a wide at the chase. So as soon as the safety, oh no, one of the McLarens backwards at turn 2 into the wall, the 25 car.
Ryan Sorensen.
So was there contact with some of the faster cars coming through? Now he's stuck. And this is hard. Trying to, one, actually get reversed with a paddle shift gearbox, and two, you've got to get it up the hill when you reverse out of there. So there we go. He's done a flick turn. And now it's actually damage to the front splitter.
Come on.
But has it damage to it? So what happens here? Was it cold tyre? No. It's number 9, Dean Fiore. Contact with Sorensen turns him around.
Race control don't like that.
No, not at all.
Fast class car gets caught up with a slow class car. And this, just to unpick, was what was going on the restart, because you cannot overlap until you get to that control line. And Ian James had a big overlap, and he got that track position in the 27 car, ran it wide at Elf Murray's corner, and then no one could get by until they got to that control line. so they're all choked up there. It's like trying to merge onto the freeway and everyone doing it badly.
Great heads up by Max Martin, so he didn't overtake. He actually had to slow down, got a tap from behind from Will Brown for his trouble. What about the weaving when the safety car lights were out there, GT?
So that's a rule change for this year. Traditionally, in the past, in Australia, once the lights go out on the safety car, you have to stop weaving. There's been a local rule that's caught out a lot of the international drivers here in the past, but Australia now has gone back to more of the international style rules that you can continue to wave once the lights go out on the safety car. One caveat on that is, though, later in the race, when we do have the lucky dog wave around scenario take place, you're not allowed to weave on that last lap out of Forest Elbow whilst the wave bike cars are getting past the safety car and getting their lap back.
I like that rule change because so many times over the years, internationals in particular have been caught out by it, and it's affected the race by having quite a big penalty for, and I get it, you've got to know the rules and play the rules to the location of racing, but just brings the race into line a little bit more internationally.
How many times did you read the rule book when you were full-time driving?
Oh, well, for me it was okay because it's the same as the Supercars Championship, but when I was doing this race and I had international teammates, my job in the team was to go through all the local rules and to drum it into them. So one of the Ferraris, Elliott Shute,
very slow.
He's just getting up to speed after this restart, and now, too wide across the top of the mountain, so it's awkward for both cars. You don't want to be offline and getting marbles and junk on your tyres. Shute trying to do the right thing, but he's really in an awkward spot. There's Lowndes. He's not doing the Dave Russell thing and going around the outside of Skyline. He knows he's been here before, seen that movie not end well. So now Shute in the 36.
Lasst eure Kassenzeit bitte nach dem Einkauf auf keinen Fall wegläutet, denn diese noch gut was wert. Und zwar kennt ihr eure ein.
Ferrari just trying his best to get up to speed. There'll be junk all over his tyres after that moment with the 91 Porsche getting by.
I think 4 or 5 years ago you told Elliott Shute when he was winning a driver search competition in the West to get a steering and a rise racing radical that he'd be getting mugged by Craig Lowndes in the opening stages of the Maguire's Bathurst 12 hour. He would have laughed in your face.
Sorting them off. He's been around the outside of the kick. Wow. Well, that tells you how long it takes the tyres to come up. We've just a note on this, guys, where the safety car came out and how it worked out. There's a few notable cars that have dropped off the lead lap here, so we will have to look out for who's in that lucky dog situation when we get further into the race.
Well, the one that actually got my attention was the 36 of Elliott Shute, the Pro-Am Ferrari. Whilst it wasn't in the top 10 prior to that safety car, it was certainly safely on the lead lap, so they've been shuffled through all that. Now they find themselves a lap down. That's why Elliott Shute was having to battle with faster cars trying to get around him.
Also, the Ben Porsche has gone a lap down as well. Morris Schuring is good.
A drive-through penalty to car 888 for a safety car breach.
Right. So 888, Maxime Martin, the Group M AMG Mercedes.
Is that because he slowed down coming on the line?
Well, no, because it was Matthew Ghost that actually was behind Ian James that had the moment, so he did the right thing there. So we'll get Chad or Shay to go and find out exactly what that breach was. It just says pit lane penalty for
passing under yellow.
Okay, well, hearing passing under yellow. So that's a slam dunk. No doubt. Richard Crowell mentioned earlier that all these cars have the cameras in them for judicial, so it'll be on the camera, it'll be irrefutable. That's a pretty easy penalty to give if they have the evidence. So that's the car that currently runs third. Here's this moment with Lowndes and Shute, and I think Lowndes thought that Shute was just going to back out of that one.
He wasn't.
And luckily CL's done a lap or two around here, so he was in the right spot, and there was actually a bit going on behind there. Yeah, so there you go, there's one around, and it was that James that went around. It was Kenny Habul that was trying to get up the inside of Ian James. So here we go on board Liam Talbot, Kenny Habul right in front of us. Kenny's going up the inside of James. Touch. Just touch, and around James goes. So that was one of those sort of indecisive ones. No, you go, no, you go, no, you go. And that's like,
both end up crashing.
In the end, you're both crashing. Kenny would have been better off just jamming it in there and they would have been side-by-side contact, and James wouldn't have gone around.
Now, GMR need to take this drive-through as soon as they can, because with all that drama that was going on the restart with Ian James and checking everybody up, the 3 leading cars. Lowndes. He's got an issue.
Tyre.
Oh, no.
Left rear.
Well, if it's going to happen, and Jules Gounon will tell you this from when he won the race in 2020, do it just before you get to pit lane.
He's like, the pit lane's right there. Where's he going? Where's he going, Craig Lowndes?
He's stopping. He's got more problems than just a tyre on
Right,
the
so there's been a significant failure, but wouldn't you drag it back to the lane? Positive he was just coming out of the chase there.
He was, absolutely. That's under the spares box bridge.
He's undoing his belt.
Left there, so unpack that one, and that car was looking very strong. Grove car and the Aston Martin. There's a Ferrari in there, side by side.
Planning to get Lowndesy up in the box at some point over the course of the day, but that's not quite what we had planned. And he is out of that car. Thumbs up to the official, so he's okay. We'll try and unpick what's going on with a contending car, and Scott Taylor has put together an awesome program. Now Lowndesy going to the right front corner. Like Lara watching on. Rob Nash down there in the garage as well. 2 of his Tickford Racing boys in that team this weekend.
The crew's waiting for him to come back in, guys. They're lined up in the front, and they're actually saying, why is he heading out? They're watching the pictures, getting that information from us. They don't know what's wrong with the car, but to them, it looks fixable.
Yeah, I mean, it baffles me that you're that close to pit entry, and if the thing was upside down on fire, you'd be still skull-dragging it into pit lane to try and fix it at this stage of the race. So, like, I mean, Craig's done, Craig Lowndes has so much experience.
Contact? There must have been contact somewhere else, and he's done a drive shaft or something else.
You still try and get it back, sure.
I mean, it's downhill, coasting to the lane from there. Chase.
So there's the...
It's got the suspension.
It's clearly, but more than just a tyre. So whether he does not have the drive to do it, whether it's like good call, like it's failed that heavily that you literally can't drive the car back to pit lane. That would be the only thing that you'd expect would stop that car getting back to pit lane, is it doesn't have the physical drive to get there.
That's why I thought drive shaft.
Kenny, I think he's giving a character assessment out the window.
This is on Liam Talbot. It's called on
Tommy Milner now.
Yeah, that's right. Kenny was in Daytona. He saw that.
Actually, no, he was long gone.
Oh, Liam, up the inside.
Hip and shoulder.
I think that character assessment's going to go on. I just caught it when we got that shot. Kenny was waving, and I don't think he was saying good morning to Liam Talbot.
Every year we sit here and go, these guys know that this race has still got 10.5 hours to go. So they're the 2 bronze drivers in pro cars looking to get their driving time ticked off and handed over to some of the best GT racers in the world. And now Brenton Grove is going to try and sneak his way through. And behind that, there's an Audi R8 that's pretty spicy with Dean Fiore, who's gone a lap down. So he's trying to work his way back into it.
in Italy. We are in the heart of the Italian motor industry. Just a few miles away is Maranello. Even closer, Santa have a run of European races. The rest of our championship, but for now it is all eyes on what happens here at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, the long-time home of the San Marino Grand Prix. Valentino Rossi, pole position man in LMGT3 with Kevin Magnussen. Sebastian Buemi having a bit of a download as well with Dries van Toor from the BMW hypercar team. And the great and the good. Easter eggs abound. Well, welcome everybody. My name's Martin Haven, leading the commentary team here for round 2 of the WEC. Alongside me in the booth will be Graham Goodwin and world champion Anthony Davidson. And Anthony, apart from the Easter eggs, this track is going to provide a lot of hard work for the drivers. It's a proper old school circuit. It's very narrow, and that means it's going to be tough to overtake.
Yeah, it most certainly is, Martin. It's great to be back here in Imola. For the second time for the World Endurance Championship, the drivers really enjoy the challenge of this track. Like I say, proper driver's circuit, anti-clockwise, one of 3 this year for the World Endurance Championship. We're going to focus on the Tamburello chicane first of all. Turns 2, 3 and 4. That really is your best overtaking opportunity come today. So let's see who can dive down the inside potentially, or even brave it around the outside there. The start is always tricky, of course, as well. Then you've got Piratella, another corner to focus on. Great to drive from inside any of the cars here, LMGT3 or the hypercars, through into Acqua Minerale. It follows, and 11, 12 and 13. You're asking a lot from the car there. A good place to try and save your tyres if you're looking at tyre management as well, which I'm sure many of them will be on this circuit today, where track position is absolutely key. It's a bit like our Monaco, if you like, for this championship. So you've got to get that track position. The hard work was done yesterday in qualifying. Now you've got to keep it.
That's my view, incidentally. He's just come past my head, which is why that was so loud. That's how tall I am. Well, a busy paddock, a busy grid, and loads of fans here. We had over 70,000 fans here for the first World Endurance race in Imola a year ago. Looks like it is even busier. Heading down into our LMGT3 field, looking at the winners last time out, the 33 Corvette. They started 13th in Qatar. Disappointed with their qualifying pace, ended up on pole position. And Graham Goodwin, where you start doesn't always equate to where you finish. The racing gods often have a little bit of a trick up their sleeve.
Well, they did last year, didn't they, with changeable weather. We might well get a shower later into this race, but the weather is certainly better than was predicted at the start of the weekend. Nico Lapierre, the sporting director of Alpine, of course. The Young Dames will be looking for an upside in form. Here we are, the number 81 Corvette, brand new car for TS Sport after switcheroo with the chassis they've got available for it. The Tom Van Rompuy starting the race in the number 81. White yellow cars now based in the UK.
I was chatting to his teammate Louis Anjar this morning. He said, when can I come into the booth? I want to come into the booth at Le Mans so I can give Charlie Eastwood a tough time when he's driving the car. That's the kind of team sport they have here. Just ahead of them on the grid, the 95 McLaren. Both McLarens made it through into the Hyperpole. The top 10 cars in qualifying in each of the groups of LMGT3 and Hypercar go into Hyperpole. They had a little bit of an issue with their car with over-driving a power, lost one of their laps, but they still have what looks like a relatively competitive package here, and the McLaren has certainly come on strong since the beginning of last season.
Absolutely nowhere beginning of its first season in LMGT3, and an absolutely competitive proposition. The continue there from the Proton number 99, right at the end of 963. Great to see so many people here and so many families amongst them. Here's the other McLaren.
Yeah, Darren LeLung and Sean Galale, winners here last year for BMW in car number 31. And they now hoping to double up, this time for McLaren. And there is Darren LeLung, looking pretty relaxed.
I am with Robert Kubica, driver of the Ferrari number 83. A good, strong quali today. It's important track position here.
Yeah, for sure. Qualifying well as a position. The gap to Antonio was quite big, so we would have to start like 5th row for the gap he had between him and us. But yeah, fortunately we are starting 1st row, so the race will be long. But yeah, Imola is known that track position is very crucial, so we are happy to be here to start in the 1st row, and yeah, we hope for a clean race, which will be fundamental, and we'll see.
Okay, I have another question. Again, last week, Lewis Hamilton said you were the most talented driver he probably encountered throughout his career. Now he's at Ferrari. Have you seen him at the factory at any time? Do you think he wants to do Le Mans? And don't you think that you two on the same car at Le Mans would be awesome?
Well, there's many questions, but yeah, I know Lewis since very long. When we were kids, we were racing together in karting and then the Formulas and of course Formula 1. Yeah, we raced for the same brand, although I never met him yet in Maranello, but I was quite surprised because Antonio Giovinazzi came, his reserve driver, he came from the race, and he said, Luis is ask about you and saying hello. So yeah, I of course agreed back him, and hope one day we can go for a pizza like all the good days when we were kids, and yeah. It would be nice to welcome him in WEC, but I think he's still focused on F1.
Yeah, but it's coming. You two at the same time, Le Mans and Ferrari would be good.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I better be around for that, because that's going to be a fun party. And if there's so many drivers on this grid, Anthony, who have raced together since literally they were in short trousers, and not just Ferrari drivers. Now, down in our LMGT3 field again, looking at the Porsches. Sorry, we'll get back to that later. Ryan Hardwick starting the car, qualified by him and Ricardo Pera. And Richie Leeds is the pro driver in that team. 92 car is the car that was on pole position here last year. They went on to win the World Championship. Not that crew, but that car number. Have to wait and see what they can produce. You can see Tricolor coming in. Italian national colours being brought in.
This is Bridge 101. Big old helicopter this, and in she comes. If we could do a blimp holding the backdrop. Impressive stuff. That big bird, the big bird.
And funny enough, lots of them wearing the red of Ferrari, but there's as many VR46 caps there as well. So two of Italy's biggest sporting brands, Valentino Rossi and Ferrari, both represented here. And there's no question that Valentino's merchandise stores have been doing very crisp business as well. On the left-hand side there, Antonella Coletta, the head of Ferrari's hypercar program. Must be very happy with that. Interesting actually to hear Robert Kubica saying that to be half a second behind Antonio Giovinazzi in qualifying, he should have been maybe 5th on the grid. Sebastian Buemi was complaining to me this morning, I've never been a second slower than a Ferrari driver. Well, the other Ferrari was half a second slower, so it's not all about the car. Sebastian Gattuso will start the number 88 Proton Competition Ford Mustang. Only the second time that Ford Mustangs have made it through into Hypercar, Graham.
And yes, the team manufacturer understanding the issues they had at Qatar, changes made, should not see those happening again.
And it looks good, sounds good. It's been a very competitive proposition in the US as well, in the IMSA Racing Series. Marco Panieri, the mayor of Imola, here on hand. And of course, this track has a long and very successful racing history. It is now, look at the top of the picture as the cars come round. There's only a metre or so of runoff area in most places. Lexus looking strong here as well. Cars very quick in a straight line. Talking to the drivers this morning, they reckon they've got a pretty good race balance as well. And Pachito Lopez, he said, I reckon we can be top 5. I said, well, if you can be top 5, then you've got to be looking at a podium. So that could be a strong contender in LMGT3.
Well, they showed such pace, didn't they, in Qatar as well? It didn't materialise for them. A lot of bad luck came their way, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Lexus can do today.
And the key of balancing out these cars is that you give them all the opportunity to perform. It's how the team work. And this team, Vista AF Corsa, have been racing Ferraris in GT, the GT Pro, the GTE AM especially, and now in LMGT3 for so many years, that they really run the car as close to its limit as possible.
Yeah, that's why Emily will start the race. The Ben's driver for this crew, growing in confidence this package. We saw that the latter part of last season and an increasingly competitive prospect.
And Simon Mann laughing off his Drift King nomenclature after yesterday's qualifying moments. That car again looking strong. The 21 car will start from 4th in LMGT3. Top 3 though include the heart of racing Aston Martin. 3rd on the grid for Ian James and Zach Robertson. The deal with qualifying, for those of you that missed it, has changed since last year. The bronze driver doesn't do all of qualifying. They do the first element, and if the car gets through into Hyperpole, then it is the silver graded driver who does Hyperpole. But in Hypercar, it can be, and doesn't have to be, the same driver doing both sessions. So top 2 in LMGT3. Second place on the grid. They just missed out on pole. Petrescu, Andreescu and Clement Schmidt doing a really strong job in the 87 Lexus. They were in and out of the top position through Hyperpole and ended up on the front row in LMGT3, just missing out on pole position. So the bonus points go to BMW number 46 car. Amadel Harty in the first element of qualifying was consistently at the front, and Valentino Rossi took over for Hyperpole, and again every one of his quick laps was quicker than anybody else. So they are absolutely on it here. Valentino bringing not just friends and family, long-term friend Uccio, but also a bunch of VR46 riders. There's no MotoGP race this weekend, so they'll be in the garage cheering him on. And there'll be quite a few other drivers cheering them on. And in GT3, Anthony, not so much confusion over what tyre to run.
Yeah, you've got the one compound, the yellow slick branded Goodyear tyre there, so they're all on that for this race. There's a little bit of threat of the rain around, and might be running the wets at some point, but you never know. Hopefully we're going to see a dry race here today.
I am with Kevin Magnussen, driver of the car number 15, starting position. You've been competitive in quali, you were already competitive in Qatar, it's looking good. Are you expecting a good race?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we're starting P3, it's a strong position, so we hope to at least keep that position, but you know, there's another strong car starting at the back, the 50 Ferrari is also very quick, so we'll try to hang on, we'll try to do our best, and then we'll see if we can get a good result.
Good luck, thank you very much.
Yeah, Magnussen certainly enjoying his time in wet around such a fantastic circuit as well.
And worth pointing out that although the number 15 BMW was 3rd on the grid, their sister car was 10 places further back, the number 20 car in 13th spot. So it's not necessarily all about one car having supremacy, it's how well you get the lap time out of the car when it counts. Looking down our hypercar field, number 50, as we heard, the Ferrari lost all its times to track limits. That starts last in hypercar 18. This is the number 5 Penske Motorsport Porsche, Julian Andlauer strapping in. He gets to try and dodge the shrapnel on the opening lap. All the drivers being strapped into the car, rest of the teams lining up, waiting for the anthem. And 12th on the grid for the second place of the Penske Motorsport Porsches. Just ahead of them, inside of row 6, Lloyd Duval starts. Matty Jakobsen and Stoffel Van Dorn looking forward to the race. I think they got a relatively here. Top 10 through the crash at the beginning in qualifying.
The road tracks on.
Pounds.
So a really good qualifying. It's got good target.
Overtaking is the number 7 on the surely on the
Valentino Rossi in a 46 BMW heads our LMGT3 field. Rossi on pole, as he has been in his MotoGP 125, 250, 500 and MotoGP career, and he leads the field away. And Ferrari, just to complete the point, they were at least trying to get the car out even to run for one lap in qualifying, so they could at least start 18th, i.e. the back of hypercar, rather than 36th behind all the GTs.
One quick, very minor correction. The Armadale Harty started with the pole position, sitting BMW in the 36. All 18 cars will start this race with their bronze rank drivers.
Yeah, you're right. We saw Valentino Rossi behind the car, didn't we? Not helmeted up. So it is Armadale Harty who leads the GT field away.
Sorry, not you typically start with your low competitors by running your, with all due respect again, your slowest driver.
A reminder for everyone to stay kitted up in case there's an incident at the start of the race, and also a reminder that it's highly likely to rain, particularly in the first 30 minutes, so please stay ready.
Yeah, let's make sure we have slips we've got in the car, 2 sets of wet smellies.
Well, there you go, that's what we're hearing from inside the Racing Scotland on team. That is, of course, the Aston Martin Racing crew looking after that car here, as they do with the Heart of Racing 27, and that's an update on what we expected in terms of weather.
And a point worth making that because we don't have preheated tyres, you don't have to have stacks of tyres in tyre ovens, so they can just be ready at the side of the garage to go on at a moment's notice. They're not allowed to be preheated, never mind they have to be preheated like you would find in a Grand Prix.
So talking tyre compounds, you see the drivers all weaving around desperately to get that temperature in. Do we think that Toyota, being one of the only teams running the soft tyres, at least on the left-hand side, do we think that they've been, like they were last year, pretty astute in their weather reading, their weather forecast reading? So that's what won them the race here last year, don't forget. Now, are they expecting the rain like we just heard from that radio message, and that's why they've gone for the best tyre combo possible to see them through?
On the right, Pecco Bagnaia, MotoGP World Champion. Danny Morbidelli in the background there as well with Valentino, lots of the VR46 riders. And in the Ferrari, of course, the garage there watching as they lead the field around. And you're absolutely right, it was the response to the changing conditions that allowed Toyota really to gain supremacy. They jumped straight onto the wet tyre when it rained. Ferrari didn't believe it was going to rain as hard as the forecast suggested, and they tried to brave it out on slicks, which ended up being the wrong call, and then tried to come in late, and that ended up being an even wronger call. So yeah, maybe Toyota just looking at the track temperature as well, going, if it doesn't rain, we can still make the unused or unladen side of the car survive a double stint on these softs. But the cars react differently on the different tyres. You know, Toyota saying to Ferrari, I can't believe you got so much out of the medium tyre, and Ferrari saying to Toyota, I can't believe you can make the soft tyre not last so long.
No, we've seen this all along, haven't we, with Toyota, where they do seem to have a car that's pretty gentle on their tyres, and that bodes well for running the soft tyre. I think if any team can make that compound work, that construction work, it would be them. But they're not alone. There are a few other cars out there as well that do join them with having the odd soft tyre here or there. Remember, in wet, you can mix and match. You can put whatever side of the car you want to put on. You can put a soft on the left front, for example, and the rest mediums, or vice versa. So it opens up a few more strategic benefits for the teams there.
And this is not a spec formula. All the cars are different, the engines are different, the chassis are different, the aero is different, and that means they use their tyres differently. And some of them will be better on some tracks than others, and all of that makes it hard to predict what's going to happen. So, safety car will head off. Pedro Crucero driving the safety car as usual, and he will beetle up towards the pit lane. And then James Collado will control the field. They will form up into side-by-side formation. There you can see Phil Hansen in the yellow car. The MotoGP riders watching the action. Franco Morbidelli, I said Gianni Morbidelli, wrong Morbidelli. Pecco Bagnaia, the world champion, watching. And as this Collado putting the hammer down, Hansen gets alongside him. Out of the two watchers, that's where you expect the throttle to be floored. No passing before the line. We're ready to go racing in Imola.
Du willst wissen, wie viel dein Auto wert ist? Auf wirkaufendeinauto.de erhältst du den Top-Verkaufspreis schnell, einfach online. Neugierig geworden, was dein Auto wert ist? Hol dir jetzt deinen Preis auf wirkaufendeinauto.de.
Leute, neues Jahr, so würden wir unser Januar durchziehen. Platz Nummer 6, Hähnchen, Rotkohl, Spätzle. Das Gericht ist aufgepufft. Alex Kuglers Liebling.
Red lights on, and away we go. We are racing for the 6 hours of Imola. James Collado and Phil Hansen, and look at Kevin Magnussen down the inside of Hansen, looking for second place into Tamburello. Can't quite make it through. The two Toyotas side by side. Through comes the Peugeot. The Peugeot staying in front of the Alpine. The second Alpine trying to make up ground as well. That's the 35 car of 30 Habsburgen in LMGT3. It is the 46 BMW of Ahmed Al-Harji who makes it through. I missed my guess. All of the hypercars have made it through turns 1, 2 and 3 without drama. Nobody's been through the gravel, and they're already climbing the hill out of Tosa as we ride on board with Julian Andlauer towards the tail of the field.
Yeah, 3 cars already passed by the number 50 Ferrari starting from the back of the grid, with all sorts of rumbbles going on in the middle back.
Yeah, like Duvel getting stuck in there with the BMW around Piratella, just sticking to the inside. But we saw one car just touch the gravel, didn't we? On the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, one of the Alpines, I believe it was Fred McAweekey, but he got away with it.
Nick Nielsen starting the 50 Ferrari at the tail of the hypercar field. He's already jumped both Astons and the 99 Proton competition Porsche. We ride on board with Mike Conway right in front of us, the tail of Kevin Magnussen. Conway with Brendan Hartley in the second black Toyota, and then Paul di Resta in the better of the two Peugeots.
You see the Ferrari there, number 50. They had a terrible time yesterday. They had the speed to be up there with their teammate car 51, but all their laps deleted sees them at the back of the field in one of the fastest cars out there. You can just pick him out there, the bright red Ferrari. Watch out for their progress in this long race today.
Mike Conway trying to give himself a little bit of clear air behind Kevin Magnussen down to Tamburello as we ride on board with the 87 Lexus Pedro Ambarescu, and that car currently in third place in LMGT3, but under pressure from the first form Porsche is the other Lexus, and that's Arnaud Robert, the red and black car. He's got the inside line, but the Porsche nearly gets around the outside. He holds on.
Yeah, that Lexus has got its air intake full of grass. It's been off the circuit.
A very hard place to try and overtake the Tamburello chicane on the outside. It can be done, but you need to have a lot of your car more than just alongside before the turning point. It wasn't quite the case there for the Porsche.
Yeah, a little gap back to that second Lexus, but the lead Lexus in third place as the rest of them sweep down the hill into Acqua Minerale. They go around the school playground and then climb up to Variante Alta, over the top of the hill and through this chicane.
Yeah, Kevin Magnussen being put under a lot of pressure there by Mike Conway in car number 7 Toyota.
Conway would love to get by Magnussen to try and latch onto the two Ferraris. We're on board with the third of them, Nick Nielsen. This is car number 50, the red car. Porsche in front of him. That is the number 5 car of Julian Andlauer. And there's the second Lexus. Under real pressure from the Mustang behind, the Ford Mustang driven by Stefano Gattuso. 2 Italian drivers in that field.
That's the first Lexus, but that Mustang is doing very well indeed.
Yep. Battle of V8s.
Always a tricky braking zone down that hill. The car doesn't really want to decelerate for you into Rivazza 1, but meanwhile, James Collado out in front. The sister car behind, the bright yellow Ferrari of Phil Hansen, just keeping check where his teammate is, and here's a potential overtake coming up.
Yeah, it's the second Mustang, that's the 77 Proton competition car, the white nose, Bernardo Souza going around Darren Leung. He's on the inside, gets into the braking area ahead, so he's picked off Darren Leung's McLaren.
And it looked like he had good exit speed coming out of Rivazza 2, but the actual straight line speed as well on top of that momentum seemed to be far better than McLaren. So yeah, that's something to look out for, obviously, with the other Mustang up just going out of your screen there.
But the Lexus famously has great top end speed as well, so those two V8 engine cars particularly are quick in a straight line. There is the McLaren under pressure once more from the Benz. That's the 31 BMW with the orange highlights. That's Yasser Shaheen all over the back of James Cotter in the other McLaren.
Well, it's with BMW 1-2 here in very different conditions to what we've got at the moment last year, but they have looked strong and tweeted that pole position, of course. Both Alpines together with the tail of this field, but it's very close to the middle order.
And actually the Alpines are together because on the grid between them was Paul di Resta's Peugeot, but he's jumped ahead of Fred Macco. So di Resta's up to 6th, Macaviti down to 7th, and so he's just ahead of teammate there in 35, Freddie Habsburg.
Yeah, Paul di Resta getting a good start, and there weren't many overtakes, but Paul di Resta was one of the overtakers and now sits behind car number 8 Toyota. Here we go with the wheel on. Brendan Hartley is driving at the moment.
Rick Wilson, by the way, in that number 50 Ferrari, picked off the low-hanging fruit, if you like, the factory that at the moment looks more conservative. I think we're going to see him on a very long tyre run indeed.
Well, I think the way they're going to have to make up more places is by a bit of opportunism once they get into traffic, and they're 2 laps away from hitting the back of LMGT3, but also maybe a little bit of jiggery-pokery in the pit lane. On board once more with Niklas Nielsen. And Julian Landauer in front with the Porsche is not going to roll over and have his tummy tickled. He's not going to allow the Ferrari to go by. Nielsen's going to have to put in a very solid move. And in terms of race pace, he's with that Porsche, but he's not climbing all over the back of him yet.
He's not looking like he wants to at the moment either. He's not looking aggressive in any way. This is a conservative run, I'm sure, from Nick Nielsen.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what they're trying to do. I've just looked at the tyre strategy form that I have here, and he started, one of the only ones who actually started racing a brand new set, believe it or not, of all 4 medium tyres. So they're definitely playing the long game here. How far can they make those medium Michelin tyres last? And I think that's their mission for at least the first 2, 3, possibly even 4 stints.
Last year, mediums went 4 stints.
I think we're going to see the same.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here on GT3, Francois Heriot is on a good lap also, closing back in now on the 46 BMW. They've pulled quite the gap, but that's now down to just a couple of tenths as we come to complete their latest lap 4. Won't be long before we see the hypercars in closer contention into traffic.
So our Hartley's job, of course, is just to keep track position. He's got the Ferrari lurking behind in the Vista Corsa with Aero at the wheel, putting the pressure on. But it is an easier circuit than most to maintain track position, and for a bronze-rated driver, it's very difficult. I know he's amongst all the other bronzes, but mistakes can happen. Here's a replay looking back at their start. And that drag race towards turn 2. The Ferrari's got good straight line speed there as well, you could see.
Well, Ian James in the Aston Martin being conservative on the driver's left down to Tamburello.
There was actually a great move by Aero in that Corsa Ferrari round the outside of the Lexus. Yeah, you just dived around the outside, had confidence on the brakes and those cold tyres, and a few others as well. There goes one of the Iron Dames. That's the Iron Dames coming in pink round the outside of the few. That's how it can be. Oh, and actually contact there as well. Well spotted, Graham.
Big sideways contact with Sylvia Martin there. And the outside goes Francois. That's a practical
good, really good driving.
And Mustang almost got 3rd place there as well from Umbraescu. And this is on board with Umbraescu in the Lexus. He just hung on in front of the Mustang of Stefano Gattuso. And there's the Iron Dames, the pink and white Porsche. Had a little nudge just ahead of Ben Keating. That's Racing Sports Lemon on the left-hand side with the bright green nose on the Mustang.
I think someone's been off there. Look how dusty it is, how hazy it's. And there's the Corvette just touching the gravel as well. So someone's had a bit more of a rough ride on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane.
That was early lap, so I think that was where the hypercars had left the dust. Down the inside of the McLaren comes the 33 car of Ben Keating, so he's gone by James Cottingham as well. So Ben Keating started 13th in Qatar, ended up 1st, and is progressing up the order. Ian James losing another spot. No, he's not. Oh, did that change at the line? But that's Arnold Robin in the Lexus that's gone by the Harter Racing Aston Martin. Ben Keating with happy birthday Kathleen on the door for his wife's birthday yesterday. He did say he wanted to change it to an Easter message, but that is defined as a religious expression which is not allowed. So still a belated happy birthday to Mrs. K.
Looks like the McLarens here a little bit under pressure for what I'm seeing so far there in GT3 there. I don't know whether it's just they can't switch a tyre on, but they certainly don't have the straight line speed that we saw in Qatar, for example. So yeah, it's they're under pressure here and losing positions. Ben Keating down the inside last lap and one of them into Rivata 1, for example. So interesting to see that difference in performance compared to yesterday in qualifying.
Okay, now our leader is in LMGT3 traffic, passing Claudio Schiavone. Let's hear from the Toyota team.
Okay, Mike, on driving, compromise turn 5 in order to prepare better the minimum speed in turn 6, and therefore we save the right-hand side tires and use up more the left-hand side tires.
Ein neues Hemm ist das Ergebnis jahrelanger Entwicklung. Angetrieben durch Liebe zum Detail, exzellentem Handwerksentwicklung. Ein neues Hemm ist nicht einfach nur ein Stück Technik, es ist ein Meisterwerk. Allerdings ist das hier gar kein neues Hemm. Es ist professionell erneuert, akribisch auf Qualität und Leistung getestet, deutlich günstiger als neu und abgesichert durch das Backmarket-Versprechen. Backmarket.
Hier keinen Not für das Finanzamt auszunehmen. Erstens Werbungskostenpauschale. Das Finanzamt sieht, ohne dass du das tun musst, schon 1.230 € von deinen Einnahmen abweisen. Grundfreibetrag, das sind bis zu 11.604 € im Jahr. Drittens, Entfernungspauschale. Für deinen Weg zur Arbeit kannst du pro Kilometer 30 Cent und ab dem 21. Kilometer 38 Cent absetzen. Wenn du ÖPNV fährst, sind es höchstens 4.500 € im Jahr. Viertens, Homeoffice-Pauschale. Hier kannst du bis zu 1.260 € absetzen. Fünftens, Ehrenamtspauschale. Du kannst bis zu 48 € steuerfrei für deinen Einsatz in der Gesellschaft bekommen. Sechstens, Umzugskostenpauschale. Wenn du wegen deinem Job umziehen musst, kannst du 964 € von der Steuer absetzen. Siebtens, diese Pauschale kannst du locker überschreiten und dir...
Yeah, it's already talking tyre strategy, and it's a way to try and preserve your tyres. And that's the corner, by the way, turn 6. That's the right hand of the Villeneuve chicane where we saw some cars just kiss the gravel.
Well, we saw in the tyre graphic, sorry, that it's not just the Toyotas that have got soft lefts. The two caddies have also got softs on the left-hand side. Now, because it's anti-clockwise, you're basically going around left, 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 left much more often than you turn right. So it's the right-hand side tyre that does the hard work, which is not most common. So the left-hand side does less work, and they've gone for soft as well. So there you go, Will Stevens, car number 12, softs on the left and front and rear, and softs on the left of Earl Bamber, front and rear. So they and the Toyotas clearly feel that they can make it last, or that they won't have to because the rain will come, but somewhere in that mix.
Now we've got hypercars in the GT3 traffic coming through that second gaggle.
Yeah, this is where the fun and games can often start, because having experience of this circuit in a, back then it was an LMP1 car with amongst the GT3 cars, it's so tough. Your eyes are everywhere on both sides, for the slower cars getting laps and the faster cars trying to make their way through efficiently. You can lose an awful lot of time and even end up damaging your bodywork if you get your judgment wrong.
And the opportunity is perhaps more with the GT cars, that a hypercar coming by and pushing a rival offline or denying them the line can often open up an opportunity in GT for you to make a pass. So the hypercar drivers are definitely trying to take advantage of traffic, but so are the GT drivers.
It works both ways. It really does work. I mean, both can be winners and losers from being overtaken or not overtaking efficiently well and just being in a place where you don't have momentum on your side. And that's what the hypercar drivers are looking for right now.
Impressively, as an Easter egg there by the camera position was destroyed in that instant qualifying, practice rather, yesterday.
But sorry, Graham, if you look back to the two Alpines, for example, a poor exit from one of them following the GT car closely has made them very vulnerable to their own teammate. Here we go, on the run up towards Tamburello. This is going to be close, and they're still working their way through. I think actually that has protected Makowiecki ever so slightly, the fact he was down the inside of McLaren.
Interestingly, we've got an incident that we did not see, I think 14 minutes ago, under investigation between the two Alpines.
Yeah, that was right at the start of the race, 13:01.
Through that traffic, by the way, James Gallardo, of course, had the toughest job of all. He's the first of the hypercars to meet the LMGT3 traffic, and he got through very cleanly indeed.
He's in a privileged position where he's got over 3 seconds of buffer. So that takes in a way a little bit of pressure off of you, although you are the first one to arrive on the scene. The GT cars drivers are all aware of that first car coming up, and when you've got a 3.5 second buffer, you don't have to be quite as ruthless, but it's more about the cars that really are nose to tail in hypercar. That's where it's not a nice position to be in. It's really, you can quickly go from the hunter to the hunted.
Liga passes Liga, yeah, that was James Calado going by Ahmed Al-Harti, leading in LMGT3. And don't forget, as well as our live coverage, in 10 days' time, first week of May, you'll be able to see what happens behind the scenes in WEC in our full access programme. Now, there are the two Alpines coming to the start line, and
one of them looked like they had to lift off ever so slightly, and that caused a bit of a chain reaction. I'm not sure what happened there, but is now riding on board the number 36, cars everywhere, as you should imagine, on that first lap.
That was where Di Resta made his move up past the Alpine. There was Ferrari touch, wasn't there? That's Magnussen's view.
And Magnussen did very well there to back off. He could sense that coming.